What if everything you thought you knew about success, wealth, and God's judgment was a meticulously crafted deception? Woven into the very fabric of one of Jesus's most revered parables, you stand not in a comfortable pew, but in the sun-baked dust of an ancient Galilean road, the air thick with the scent of cypress and the distant bleating of sheep. Before you, a powerful, enigmatic master, a figure whose true intentions are shrouded in the mists of antiquity, prepares for a perilous journey. His eyes, though seemingly benevolent, hold a shrewdness that hints at a test far more profound than any simple business transaction. He gathers his most trusted servants, not to assign mundane tasks, but to distribute unthinkable sums that could shatter fortunes or forge empires. This isn't merely a story of finance. It is a profound revelation about the true nature of divine entrustment, a cosmic challenge laid before humanity, the stakes of which echo into eternity. So, as we prepare to uncover these timeless truths, if you find value in this journey, consider leaving a like to support the channel. It makes a huge difference. Share your own insights on this mystery in the comments below. Now, still your heart and open your mind. The veil of history is about to be torn away. Our revelation begins. You are there, standing amidst the anxious, hushed whispers, as the master, preparing for his distant voyage, calls forth his stewards. Not just any stewards, mind you, but men he deems capable of managing profound responsibility in his absence. This isn't a mere household chore. It is an entrustment of staggering proportions, a distribution of wealth almost incomprehensible in its magnitude. The very air crackles with the weight of expectation. You watch as he singles out the first, a man whose gaze is steady, whose reputation for diligence precedes him. To this one, the master bestows 5 talents. You might imagine a handful of coins, perhaps a small bag of silver, but the true weight of this gift would have crushed such a notion into dust. A talent was not a coin, but a unit of weight, typically for silver or gold, representing an immense sum. In the ancient world, a single talent of silver was roughly equivalent to 6,000 denarii, and a denarius was a day's wage for a common laborer. Consider this. 1 talent of silver represented approximately 20 years of a laborer's income. 5 talents, then, was an astounding 100 years of wages. This was not pocket change. This was a fortune capable of buying vast tracts of land, launching significant trade ventures, or funding entire fleets. It was, in essence, a king's ransom placed into the hands of a servant. The implications of such a transfer are staggering. In the Roman and Judean economies of the 1st century CE, direct banking as we know it scarcely existed. Wealth was held in physical assets, in land, livestock, or the actual precious metals. Entrusting such a sum meant not just delegation, but a profound act of vulnerability and faith in his servant's integrity and acumen. The master was not merely providing capital. He was offering an unprecedented opportunity for these men to participate in his vast economic enterprise, to extend his influence, and to grow his wealth through their independent initiative. This was a direct challenge to their perception of their own status, transforming them from mere employees into co-investors in a grand, potentially perilous venture. You witness the shift in the first servant's posture, a subtle straightening of the shoulders, a glint of determination in his eyes. He accepts the burden, not with fear, but with a quiet resolve, the weight of the 5 talents settling upon him like a mantle of immense, albeit perilous, authority. Then the second servant steps forward. To him, the master entrusts 2 talents. Again, the sum is immense, representing 40 years of a common laborer's wage, enough to secure a family's prosperity for multiple generations. This servant, too, displays a knowing nod, a tacit understanding of the gravity of the task ahead. He is not given as much as the first, but his allocation is far from insignificant. It is still a vast fortune, a testament to the master's continuing trust. The master's judgment here is precise, perhaps based on his intimate knowledge of each servant's capabilities, their track record, their known disposition for risk and reward. This differentiation itself raises a profound question. Did the master see inherent differences in their capacities, or was he testing their gratitude and diligence from different starting points? The ancient world was riddled with societal hierarchies, yet this master seems to transcend them, offering opportunities based on perceived potential, not inherited status. Yet it is the third servant who draws your gaze with a chilling premonition. To him, the master gives a single talent, still a formidable sum, 20 years of a laborer's life's work, but dramatically less than the others. As the master places this responsibility upon him, you detect a flicker of something in this servant's eyes, something not quite gratitude nor determination, but a subtle, almost imperceptible shift towards resentment or fear. The weight of this single talent, though less than the others, appears to press down on him far heavier. In the context of the master's expansive wealth, this single talent might have felt like a meager allowance, an insult even, if measured against the more lavish sums given to his peers. But you are forced to ask, was this quantity a reflection of the master's lesser trust, or a customized challenge tailored precisely to this servant's unique disposition, designed to expose his true character in the crucible of this economic trial? For centuries, the faithful have wrestled with the question of whether this initial allocation was a judgment of character, or merely a strategic distribution of resources based on a master's insight into varied aptitudes. The true, lost context here lies not just in the numerical value of the talent, but in the prevailing economic mindset and the expectations placed upon those who received such monumental sums. In an era before modern banks, wealth was dynamic. It was not meant to sit idle. It was meant to be actively managed and grown. Josephus, the astute Jewish historian, often details the vast estates and commercial enterprises of the wealthy elite in Judea, illustrating how such fortunes were constantly leveraged, invested, and expanded. To simply bury or hoard such a sum would have been an act of profound negligence, almost an insult to the giver, as it represented not just capital, but an opportunity, a living, breathing thing that demanded engagement and stewardship. The master's expectation was not passive preservation, but active multiplication. This was a test of initiative, of risk-taking, of understanding that true value in his economy was not static, but fluid and generative. As the master departs, a profound silence falls. The first two servants waste no time. You watch as they immediately begin to engage with the challenge. They do not hoard their treasures. Instead, they plunge into the vibrant, often chaotic world of ancient commerce. They trade, they invest, they leverage, they take calculated risks in the bustling markets and through intricate networks of merchants. This immediate action speaks volumes. It reveals not just their business acumen, but their profound understanding of the master's character and his expectations. They grasp that the entrusted wealth is not a gift to be idly enjoyed, but a trust to be actively managed and expanded for his return. Their diligence is not forced. It is a natural outpouring of their perception of the master's trust in them, a reflection of their own internal drive and their vision for the future. They understand that the master's economy is one of growth, of expansion, of living out the potential inherent in what has been given. This initial responsiveness, this immediate plunge into action, sets a foundational principle for every soul who has ever been entrusted with divine potential. Years pass. The exact duration remains shrouded in mystery, a testament to the unpredictable nature of divine timing. You have watched the world turn, empires rise and fall, seasons change, and with each passing year, the anticipation of the master's return has grown, a subtle hum beneath the surface of daily life. The two diligent servants continue their tireless work, their initial ventures having blossomed into thriving enterprises. Their names are whispered in the markets, synonymous with shrewdness and success, their wealth growing exponentially, not for their own selfish indulgence, but as an extension of the master's economic reach. Their lives are a living testament to proactive stewardship, their every decision a calculated step towards fulfilling the unspoken mandate of multiplication. They embraced the master's trust as a living, breathing entity, one that demanded constant attention, innovation, and courage in the face of market fluctuations and unforeseen challenges. You have witnessed their growth, not just in riches but in character, their confidence blooming alongside their burgeoning fortunes. Then a whisper ripples through the city. The master has returned. The news spreads like wildfire, igniting a mixture of excitement and dread. For some, it is the joyful anticipation of reunion and commendation. For others, a chilling premonition of accountability. This return is not a gentle homecoming, but an audit, a meticulous reckoning of every talent entrusted, every decision made, every risk taken or avoided. You find yourself drawn into the master's great hall, a place now charged with an almost palpable tension. The air is thick with expectation, the scent of expensive incense unable to mask the undercurrent of anxiety that permeates the very stone walls. This is where the true character of each servant will be laid bare, not by their words, but by the tangible fruits of their stewardship. This moment redefines the very concept of divine return, shifting it from a distant theological concept to an immediate, personal confrontation with consequence. First, the servant who received 5 talents steps forward, his bearing confident, his eyes bright with a humble satisfaction. He presents not just a report, but a visible demonstration of his diligence. "Master," he declares, "you entrusted me with 5 talents. See, I have gained 5 more." You witness the master's reaction, not merely approval, but profound delight. His words are not just praise, but a bestowal of even greater authority and prosperity. "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." This isn't just about financial gain. It's about a deeper resonance between the master's vision and the servant's execution. It's about aligned purpose, about a spirit of enterprise that mirrored the master's own. The reward is not just material. It's an invitation into the master's joy, a profound elevation of status and responsibility. This reveals a fundamental aspect of God's economy. Faithfulness in the small leads to stewardship over the vast. It implies that the happiness is a participatory state, a shared delight in the flourishing of the master's domain, a foretaste of eternal partnership. Next, the servant who received 2 talents approaches. His demeanor mirrors the first, though perhaps with a touch more humility. "Master," he states, "you entrusted me with 2 talents. See, I have gained 2 more." And again, the master's response is identical in its essence. "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness." This perfect parallel is profoundly significant. It shatters any notion that the starting allocation determined the degree of commendation. The master did not compare their net gains against each other, but rather judged them based on their proportional faithfulness to what they were given. The servant with 2 talents was praised just as highly as the one with 5 because both exhibited the same diligence, the same entrepreneurial spirit, the same commitment to multiplication. This profound equity in judgment defies human expectations of meritocracy, revealing a divine standard where effort and faithfulness, not raw output, define true success. It emphasizes that every individual, regardless of their initial endowment, has the capacity for good and faithful stewardship. Then comes the chill. The third servant steps forward, his posture visibly different. You detect a furtive glance, a slight tremor in his hands, a shadow of trepidation clouding his eyes. He does not approach with the confidence of the others. His words, when they come, are not a joyful declaration of gain, but a defensive justification of inaction. "Master," he begins, his voice strained, "I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your talent in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you." His defense is a profound accusation. He paints the master as harsh, demanding, even unjust, one who profits from the labor of others without contributing himself. This perception, whether accurate or not, reveals the servant's fundamental misunderstanding of his master's character, or perhaps a projection of his own fear and laziness onto the one who trusted him. The master's response is swift, firm, and devastating. He does not debate the servant's characterization of him. Instead, he uses the servant's own words, his own understanding of the master's hardness, to condemn his inaction. "You wicked, lazy servant, so you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest." This is a crushing indictment. Even by his own flawed logic, the servant had no excuse for absolute idleness. Even if he truly believed the master was demanding, the least he could have done was to place the money with bankers or money changers, institutions known in every ancient city, including Jerusalem, for charging interest. The lost context here is crucial. Money lending and borrowing with interest, while sometimes viewed with suspicion, was a common and accepted practice. The Mishnah, a collection of Jewish oral laws compiled in the 2nd century CE, discusses various aspects of loans and interest, indicating its integration into the economic fabric. The master's retort highlights that even the most minimal effort, a passive investment with a guaranteed modest return, would have been preferable to absolute non-production. The master's ultimate judgment is terrifying in its finality. So take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. This isn't just a loss of property, it's a terrifying loss of future, a complete disinheritance from the master's economy and his presence. The outer darkness is not merely a dark room. It's a stark, symbolic place of utter separation, of profound regret and despair. This radical redistribution of the talent, from the one who did nothing to the one who already had much, is a direct challenge to our intuitive sense of fairness. One is forced to ask, is this harsh judgment truly just, or is it a brutal consequence of a spiritual principle that demands growth and participation, not just preservation? For centuries, the faithful have wrestled with the question of whether this seemingly disproportionate punishment reveals a divine economy that values active participation and exponential growth above all else, seeing fear and inaction as the ultimate betrayal of trust. The master's economy, it becomes chillingly clear, has no room for stagnation, no tolerance for fear-induced paralysis. The outer darkness is not a fleeting human concept of punishment. It is a profound, chilling revelation of ultimate spiritual separation, a place where the echoes of missed opportunities and profound regret become an eternal torment. You confront the horrifying reality that the master's judgment extends far beyond mere financial loss. It is a terrifying disinheritance, a banishment from the very presence and flourishing economy of the master. This isn't just about losing a talent of silver. It's about losing one's place, one's purpose, and one's access to the boundless joy and abundance that the diligent servants now share. The weeping and gnashing of teeth are not mere expressions of sorrow. They are the visceral, agonizing sounds of eternal regret, of a soul consumed by the realization of what was lost due to fear, apathy, or a profound misunderstanding of the master's true character and expectation. This parable, far from being a simple lesson in financial management, is a profound unveiling of God's hidden economy, a divine system vastly different from the transactional, often materialistic economies of humanity. The talent here is not merely currency. It is a potent metaphor for everything entrusted to you by the divine. Your time, your abilities, your spiritual gifts, your opportunities, the very breath in your lungs, and most profoundly, the gospel message itself. Each individual, regardless of their perceived starting point, is endowed with a measure of divine potential, a sacred investment from the Creator. The Master's departure symbolizes the period between Christ's ascension and his ultimate return, a crucial interim where humanity is charged with stewarding divine resources in his absence. This period is not one of idleness or waiting, but of active, courageous engagement with the spiritual capital we have been given. The master's harshness, invoked by the third servant, is a critical point of lost context. This servant attempts to justify his inaction by painting the master as an exploitative tyrant. However, this is a projection of his own fear and misunderstanding. In the ancient Near East, a hard man could also imply a shrewd, effective, and demanding leader who expects results. The master's actions prove him to be just, rewarding diligence precisely as he punishes negligence. His harvesting where he has not sown is not injustice, but a metaphor for receiving returns on investments made through the labor and initiative of his servants. He provided the capital, the opportunity, the trust. The sowing was his initial entrustment, the harvest was the return on investment from the servant's diligent work. This servant failed to grasp that the master's economy is not about zero-sum gain, but about multiplication and growth through active participation. He feared what he did not understand, and his fear led not to caution, but to paralysis. The terrifying principle, for whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them, challenges our human sense of fairness head-on. This isn't about rewarding the already rich, but about a spiritual law of increase that applies to diligence and initiative. Those who actively engage with what they have been given, who take risks, who strive for multiplication, will find their capacity and their entrusted resources expanding exponentially. This is a profound echoes of verses in the Gospel of Mark 4:25 and Luke 8:18, indicating a universal spiritual principle. Conversely, those who hoard, who bury, who fail to utilize their potential out of fear or laziness will find even their initial endowment stripped away. It is a sober warning. Spiritual stagnation leads to spiritual impoverishment. The lack is not a material one, but a lack of proactive engagement, a failure to embrace the divine economy of growth. You are compelled to confront the chilling truth that the worthless servant was not condemned for losing money, nor for making a poor investment. He was condemned for doing nothing. His sin was not active malice, but passive neglect, paralysis by fear, and a fundamental misjudgment of the master's character. He saw the master as an oppressive force, where he should have seen a generous investor. His fear became a self-fulfilling prophecy, leading him to bury the very opportunity that could have led to his prosperity and the master's delight. His action, or rather, his profound inaction, was an insult to the master's trust, a complete rejection of the entrepreneurial spirit inherent in the divine command to go and make disciples, to occupy till I come. This inaction is the ultimate form of spiritual bankruptcy in God's economy. One is forced to ask, how many talents have you buried out of fear, out of a mistaken belief that God is a hard man, demanding impossibly high returns, when in reality he simply desires faithful stewardship and active engagement? How often has the fear of failure prevented you from taking the spiritual risks necessary for growth, from investing your gifts in the marketplace of the world for the Master's kingdom? For centuries, the faithful have wrestled with the question of whether our modern comfort and aversion to risk have inadvertently turned us into passive, worthless servants, burying our divine potential in the unproductive ground of safety and inaction, rather than actively multiplying it for the Master's return. The journey into the outer darkness is not merely physical distance from the Master. It is a spiritual chasm, a complete disassociation from his presence, his light, his joy, and his active economy. The weeping and gnashing of teeth symbolize not just sorrow, but agonizing remorse, the bitter realization of lost opportunity, and the self-inflicted pain of having squandered a divine trust. This is the ultimate consequence of preferring comfort over courage, safety over stewardship, and fear over faith. The Master's economy demands bold action, calculated risk, and unwavering diligence in multiplying the gifts bestowed. It is an economy of eternal impact, where every talent invested for the kingdom reverberates into eternity, and every talent buried is a lost opportunity for both the steward and the master. This parable is not merely a historical anecdote. It is a mirror held up to your own soul. It beckons you to examine your stewardship. Are you actively investing your gifts, your time, your resources, your very life for the Master's kingdom? Or are you, like the third servant, burying your potential out of fear, misunderstanding, or a complacent reluctance to engage with the demands of God's dynamic, ever-expanding economy? The call is urgent. The Master is returning, and he will call for an accounting. The time for action is now. The parable of the talents unveils the terrifying, yet gloriously empowering truth of God's economy, revealing it not as a static ledger of passive faith, but as a dynamic, living system demanding audacious initiative and unwavering fidelity. You now understand that the talent is not just ancient currency, but the very essence of your divine potential. Your gifts, your time, your opportunities, all invested by the Master with an expectation of exponential growth. This is not a story of the rich getting richer, but a profound spiritual law. Those who actively engage, who courageously multiply what they've been given, will find themselves drawn into an ever-increasing abundance, a deeper participation in the Master's boundless joy. Conversely, the outer darkness is not merely a place, but a terrifying state of spiritual disinheritance, a self-imposed exile born from fear, inaction, and a fatal misjudgment of the Master's character. It is the eternal consequence of burying the sacred trust, of choosing stagnant safety over the glorious peril of diligent stewardship. This parable shatters the illusion of passive faith, compelling you to confront the profound responsibility etched into your very being. How will you, with the precious talents entrusted to you, participate in the unfolding, breathtaking economy of eternity? The Master is returning, and his audit will reveal not merely what you possessed, but what you dared to become for his kingdom.